ang panahon. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ruth, sa iyong presentation ng ating programs and initiatives as well as projects of CDA. We hope po na marami po tayong natutunan sa ating mga presentations. Kung may mga katanungan po kayo, you can chat in our chat. Tapos i-ref po ng ating team. And then later, pagka may panahon, din po dun sa hindi pa po nakapag-fill up ng kanilang attendance. More than 100 pa lang po ang nakapag-fill up ng attendance sa ating attendance link. Ang ating pong attendance ngayon is 265. Meron din po sa ating Facebook Live. May mga viewers. Pwede po kayong mag-fill up ng ating attendance link. So, andyan po, nakalagay po sa ating chat room, sa chat box yung ating attendance link. So, we're requesting na paki-click na lang po for you to be able to receive a certificate of attendance later today. Ayan. We will recognize questions later, pero kung gusto na po ilagay sa ating chat box yung questions, sabi nila po ilagay so that mamaya masasagot po ng ating mga panelists. Ngayon naman po, moving on, to give us or to enlighten us on some provisions of the IRR of the Republic Act 11364, would like to turn over the room to one of the most handsome faces of CDA. So, walay cover attorney. We're presenting to you Attorney 4 of Legal Division, Attorney Frederick Cho and Rodriguez.
Okay, thank you. Napakagandang Jean sa inyong introduction. Anyway, maayong aga sa inyong tanan, mga amigo, mga amigas. At thank you for your Byaheng Co for Region 12. And with respect to our Chairman Joseph N. Capo and of course our cluster head for the Education and Advocacy and Union Cooperative Assistant Secretary Abdul Salam Ginumla, and my fellow employees of the Cooperative Development Authority. So for today, I'll be discussing a very important part of our Republic Act 11364 or yung tinatawag nating Cooperative Development Charter of 2019. This is in relation to the creation of the Regional Clustered Organization as well as the Sectoral Apex Organization and the National Alliance Program. I believe Region 12 has already conducted their respective Regional Clustered Organization General Assembly, except for the Advocacy and Union Cluster. Kasi it so happened na walang nakaregister na education, cooperative, advocacy cooperative, or union sa Region 12. But I believe we have plans. We will have plans. We will be talking to Director Elma Ogis to organize Region 12 into cooperative union para meron naman po kayong representation sa cluster ng RCO at sa Sectoral Apex Organization at sa National Alliance. So hopefully pag wala ng COVID, maybe virtually we could organize the cooperatives in Region 12 into union, either sa provincial or regional level. So let's see, how would be the best way to organize the union. Okay, so allow me to present to you my slides so that we could start discussing this specific provision of RA 11364. Okay. Okay, there you go. So our topic for today is about the regional clustered organization. What's the importance of regional clustered organization in relation to the consultation and collaboration the cooperative sector with the Cooperative Development Authority. But first, I would like to discuss ano yung structure. What is the structure? What is the structure of the regional clustered organization, the sectoral apex organization, and the National Alliance of Cooperative? So that you will have an overview. You have a vision of how the cooperative, National Alliance of Cooperative, the sectoral apex organization, and the RCO looks like. No? Para meron kayong picture na makikita. And this is how it looks. No? For every region, for all regions, 16 regions in the country, each region will have its own RCOs. And under the regional clustered organization, there will be 6 clusters under this RCO. First is education, is advocacy and union cluster na bubuin pa natin. Bubuin pa lang natin once na medyo magkaroon tayo ng time. And another cluster under the RCO is the finance cluster. Another is the human service cluster, consumer marketing cluster, agriculture cluster, public utilities cluster. So may mga particular type of cooperative na mga cluster na yan. Ano? Hindi ko na inelaborate, mamaya ma-elaborate natin kung ano yung mga types of cooperative under each cluster. Sino po ba ang bumubuo ng mga cluster na ito? Ang mga bumubuo po dito ay mga primary cooperatives and secondary cooperatives sa inyong region. Kung ikaw ay nasa credit, ikaw po ay magiging member ng finance cluster. Kung ikaw po ay labor service cooperative, ikaw po ay ma-under ng human service cluster. But ikaw ay marketing cooperative, ikaw po ay ma-under sa consumers marketing cluster. At kung ikaw naman po ay agricultural cooperative, magpo-fall ka sa agriculture cooperative, or kung ikaw ay, I believe sa region doon, madaming agrarian reform, cooperative. So magpo-fall po kayo sa agriculture cooperative. At pag ikaw naman po ay electric cooperative or transport cooperative, magpo-fall po kayo sa public utilities cluster. So sila po, itong mga types of cooperative na to ay meron kanya-kanyang cluster na nabibilang. You will fall under each type of cluster that your cooperative will be, what would be your main line of business, that would be the basis on which type of, which cluster you will belong. Okay, so these RCOs will elect their officers. The officers for each cluster in the regional clustered organization is the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. The president, the elected president, will now be going to be the representative of this for this cluster, for each cluster, and they will be elevated to a bigger organization, a national organization we call sectoral apex organization. So those who will be elected as president sa mga sa region, kayo po ay magiging miyembro, automatic na magiging miyembro sa sectoral apex organization. And being a member of each cluster sa sectoral apex organization, meron din po kayong magpo-fall din po kayo sa mga respective cluster ninyo. Kung sa regional cluster organization came from the education, advocacy, and union cluster, in the sectoral apex organization, you will be a member of education, advocacy, union cluster under the sectoral apex organization. Ganun din po yung mga ibang mga cluster sa regional clustered organization. Ito po, ang objective natin dito sa sectoral apex organization is para po yung mga bagay-bagay na kailangan nating i-raise with the Cooperative Development Authority, yung mga issues, mga concerns, mga needs, mga challenges, may consolidate dito sa sectoral apex organization para mapag-usapan ano ba ang magagawa ng sektor, ano ba magagawa ng ating Cooperative Development Authority para i-address yung mga challenge konsultahin ng aming mga regional offices sa mga bagay-bagay na sa tingin ninyo ay regional ang issue, no? So kayo po yung magiging partner ng aming regional office when it comes to consultation and collaboration of our activities and programs dyan sa region po ninyo. So regional level lang po yung magiging usapin dyan sa RCOs. But of course, sabi ko nga, yung mga president ng inyong respective cluster sa regional cluster organization, ma-elevate naman sa national level under the sectoral apex organization. At what we'll be going to discuss or be raised or to be the subject of consultation under the organization will be the total issues and concerns of all cooperative nationwide. So that would be the role of the sector organization. So kung ang issues natin sa finance cluster, pag-usapan sa sectoral apex organization, same thing with the human service cluster, pag-uusapan ninyo sa sectoral apex with the other presidents from other regions. So magiging national yung magiging discussion with regards to the issues and challenges under the sectoral apex. And now, under the sectoral apex organization, mamimili po kayo ng two permanent representative. There will be two permanent representative in each cluster, because in each cluster you will going to elect the president, the vice president, an alternate representative, and the secretary and treasurer. And the president and the vice president under the sectoral apex organization for each cluster, we're now going to be elevated to the National Alliance of Cooperative. Under the National Alliance of Cooperative, ito na po yung pinaka-apex na organization ng ating co-op sector when it comes to the consultation collaboration with the CDA. Itong tawag po natin dyan ay National Alliance of Cooperative. So lahat po ng cluster from the sectoral apex organization will be represented in the National Alliance of Cooperative. Your president under the SAO will be, the president and the vice president will be the representative in the National Alliance of Cooperative. The same true with the other clusters. No? Ano naman ang pag-uusapan ng National Alliance? Ano ba ang role nila? Sila na po ang magpo-consolidate yung lahat ng mga issues and concerns ng 6 na cluster para ito naman po ay ipaabot. You know? You're going to deliver it to the Cooperative Development Authority for consultation and maybe for collaborative activities and programs for the whole sector. So, itong ang ating pagbuo ng Regional Cluster Organization, Sectoral Apex Organization, and National Alliance of Cooperatives, like a machine. No? Ang machines mayroong mga gears, may mga parts, in which each part of the machine must work together in order to come up with a smooth operation of their organization, a smooth operation of the cooperative sector in relation to consultation with the cooperative authority, in relation to the collaboration activities and programs of the cooperative sector with the cooperative authority. So these 6 clusters must work together in order to have a more responsive activities, responsive programs for our cooperative sector. So this is very important because you will see the importance of this later on, that this is not just for the Cooperative Development Authority. This is for the sector. You will be going to be the voice of the cooperative sector in relation to your sector's relationship with the Cooperative Development Authority. You are going to feel the sense of ownership in this cooperative organization, these clusters organizations, so that the CDA will be able to hear your concerns, your issues, and your challenges, your wants in the regional level, cluster level, and the national level. So this is very important to us because you will be our partner coming up with the best policies that we could come up in order to help our cooperative sector. Okay, so this is how the structure looks like. No? At the bottom of the pyramid is the primary and the secondary cooperatives. They will be the members of the RCOs, and these RCOs will be the members of the sectoral apex organization, and this sectoral organization will be the members of the National Alliance of Cooperatives. So it's a pyramid, no? So palaki yung paliit hanggang apex, which is the National Alliance of Cooperatives. Sila na po yung pinakatuktok ng organization ng National Alliance. At maganda dito kasi mga officers sa sectoral apex organization, ang mga officers sa National Cooperative ay manggagaling sa grassroots, manggagaling sa regions, no? Manggagaling sa inyo. Kayo ang mamimili kung sino yung magiging officers ng anyong RCOs. Ang mga RCOs na inelect ninyo, mga officers niyo sa RCOs, ang mamimili kung sino magiging representative nila sa sectoral apex organization. And those in the sectoral apex organization will elect your representative in the National Alliance of Cooperatives. So basically, what is the basis in the creation of the National Alliance of Cooperative, the sectoral apex organization, and the regional cluster organization? Under the implementing rules and regulation, the basis for the creation of the NAC, the sectoral apex, and the RCO is under Section 26 of the implementing rules and regulations, wherein the CDA board shall formulate the implementing rules and regulations for the creation of the NAC, the SAO, and the RCO. Under Section 6, letter K, on the powers and functions of the CDA, they have the power to formulate rules, regulations, and exercise such powers as may be required to implement the objective. So it is within the power of the Cooperative Development Board of Directors to formulate these rules, the implementing rules and regulations. The basis for the creation of the RCO. What is the basis of the creation of the RCO? Under Section 4, Paragraph C, Public Act 11364, which is the Cooperative Development Authority Charter of 2009, under the powers, functions, and responsibilities, it recognizes the sectoral apex organization and the National Alliance representing all types and categories of the cooperative which shall function as overall consultative and coordinating body with the authority. For its purpose, the pertinent provisions of the Republic Act 9520 is hereby amended, and thus the authority shall issue the necessary implementing rules and regulations for this provision. So, nakalagay dito, binibigyan ng kapangyarihan ng batas, no, na ang CDA ay ang magbigay ng rules and regulations in relation to the organization of the National Alliance of Cooperative, the creation of the sectoral apex organization, and the RCO as part of the methodology in the creation of the sectoral apex organization and the National Alliance of Cooperative. There are questions on the validity of the creation of the clustered organization. Some members of the cooperative sector is questioning where did the regional clustered organizations came from? What's the basis? As I said, as the law provides, the authority shall issue the necessary implementing rules for the provision for the creation of the National Alliance of Cooperative sectoral apex organization.
And as part, para ma-organize natin sila, we have to create the RCO in order to be part of the methodology in the two organizations, the sectoral apex and the national alliance of progress. The question of the creation of the RCO means putting an issue not only on the validity of the exercise of delegated legislative power, but also the validity of delegation itself. Ang batas mismo nagsabi, the law itself said that the authority shall issue and implementing rules and regulations. It is a valid delegation Congress to the Cooperative Development Authority to issue the implementing rules and regulations of the SAO and the NAC. And questioning the validity of the exercise of the delegated power by Congress to the authority is like also questioning the validity of the delegation itself. So, ano po ang magiging effect ng pagka-question, no? Kasi binigay na po ng batas ang poder to the Cooperative Development Authority to formulate, issue the necessary implementing rules and regulations. It is thus collaterally attacking the validity of the provisions of the CDA as amended by the Republic Act 1136. Sabi ng Supreme Court, collateral attacks on presumably valid law are not allowed unless a law, a rule, or an act is annulled in a direct proceeding. It is presumed valid unless and until it is annulled, unless and until it was invalidated, unless and until it was amended, the law remains to be valid. So, yung ating batas, ang ating 11364 is a valid law. No one has it, no one has amended it, and the Supreme Court did not rule that such provision, such law is unconstitutional. So the law is valid. It is a valid exercise of delegated legislative power. Ang Congress kasi pwede niya i-delegate yung ibang provisions, no? Ibang part ng batas sa mga agencies. Mga agencies like cooperative development. Also, under the, one of the decisions of the Supreme Court, ang sabi ng Supreme Court, the delegation of legislative power to various specialized administrative agencies, just like the Cooperative Development Authority, is allowed in the face of the increasing complexity of modern life. So, malinaw na may decision ang Supreme Court in previous cases that the delegation of legislative power to various specialized administrative agencies is valid, is allowed. Okay. Also, it was also decided by the Supreme Court that given the volume and variety of interactions involving the members of today's society, it is doubtful if the legislature can promote dealing with all aspects of every life. Hence, the need to delegate to the administrative bodies as the principal agency tasked to execute laws with respect to their specialized field, and the authority to promulgate rules and regulations to implement, statute, and effectuate its policies. So, hindi ang mga Congress natin, ang mga congressman, mga senador natin, hirap para sa kanila na lahat ng detalye ay ilalagay nila doon sa batas. Dahil pag minsan, kailangan ng special ng mga taong mag-i-implement. Kailangan malaman nila yung may mga detalye na hindi alam ng Congress, na alam ng mga agencies na mag-i-implement doon sa batas. Kaya binibigyan ng delegated power ang mga agencies to provide them more details on the provisions of the law. At yan po ay napagdesisyonan na po yung legislative valid delegation of legislative power to administrative agencies. What is the requisites of a valid exercise of delegated power? Okay. One of the requisites is the completeness of the statute. Completeness of making the delegation. Another requisite is the presence of sufficient standard or tinatawag ng sufficient standard test. So yung una is yung completeness test. Yung pangalawa is the sufficient standard test. The first requirement. Usapan natin yung first requirement, which is the completeness test. It says that, the Supreme Court says that statute must be complete in itself. The Public Act 11364 is complete in itself. Pangalawa, must set forth the policy to be carried out or implemented by the delegate such that the delegate will have to do when the statute reaches its implementation. So, nakalagay doon sa batas that authority shall issue the necessary implementing rules and regulations for the implementation for the establishment of the national cooperative and the sectoral apex organization. What can only be delegated is not the discretion to determine what the law shall be, but the discretion to determine how the law shall be enforced. So, yung pag-create natin ng ating memorandum circular for the creation, implementing rules and regulations is not an exercise for the CDE to determine what the law is, but it's an exercise to determine how the law shall be enforced. Second requirement, standard. The law must contain the limitations or guidelines to determine the scope of authority of the delegate. It is very clear that the law states that the authority shall issue the implementing rules and regulations in relation to the creation of the National Alliance of Cooperatives. And
I-off ko lang camera.
so, what is the wisdom behind the creation of the RC? What's the intent
Damo mga bangko nga mga
of the framers of the law? First is to provide a mechanism for grassroots organizations of the cooperative under various clusters. Gusto natin yung mga cooperative sa baba, yung mga primaries sa mga regions, magkaroon ng test sa pagbuo ng mga palisiya in relation to development of our cooperative, in regulation of our cooperative. We want to hear the voice of those private cooperatives in the region, because you're the base, the very entity that these policies and these development programs will going to benefit. You will benefit from these policies, regulations. That's why we need to hear from the very root of our cooperative movement, which is those primary cooperatives within the regions. And this mechanism is very good because you will have an avenue where the cooperatives will be able to voice out
Hindi si ano
your
kapitan
concerns,
ulit
your
yung
challenges,
ng tanan din.
the
Sa
needs of your primary
Hindi
cooperative
ang barangay
in
ka
the
mga
regional
apat
level,
sila tanan.
in the
Tanan.
cluster level, and the national level.
Primero gusto nila
Because
si 20 lang ila.
sa inyo lang galing
Mas si 20 lang ka.
and we need to hear
ano
as
kami
regulators,
dito
as
sa wala
developers,
financial
of
nga mga
cooperative, as government developers, as government regulators, we want to hear your voice. We want to know what do you need from the Cooperative Development Authority so that we could respond to you and provide you with the necessary service that we could come up in order to address those needs and to address those challenges of your cooperatives. Another reason why the wisdom behind the creation of RCO is to serve
Sila na nag-what the board
as the
resolution.
foundation
As lang,
establishment of the sectoral apex and the national alliance. You will be the very foundation of the sectoral organization. Without the foundation, we will not be able to create
yung
the
mga
sectoral apex
kuha
organization
sa
for the
party na
national
white pa
alliance.
mag-building, di ba?
Every structure, every building, every organization has a foundation. And thus, foundation must be strong in order that the structure we're going to stand alone and could weather every challenges that will come in their face as an organization. So we want that the RCO foundation in the creation of the sectoral apex organization and the national alliance program. Because we want to know what you feel. No? What you feel about how we are doing our service to you. How are you going to know what would be the needs that you want, that we will be able to maybe provide as a developer and or regulator of cooperatives in the regional level. Another is it is to establish a democratic process of selection
Ang ano
of
ko dati batong
representative
sa video nga about
sectoral
about
apex
sa
and the national alliance.
kabisado mo
One of our prime cooperative
Hindi,
principles
video
is
na dati
democratic
kasi record
control.
ko siya.
So this is the
Ay.
best manifestation
Ano,
of that
explain mo
principle
na
for the cooperative
Pali
sector.
ang ano siya.
That those who are in the
Oo,
grassroots of our sector will be the one who will represent themselves in the sectoral apex organization and the national alliance of cooperatives. Because you will, as officers of the regional cluster organization, you will be the one who will be identifying who will be sitting on the sectoral apex organization
Butang mabi sa YouTube.
and at the
Ay, sa group chat
national
ng
alliance.
ang mga pod ko nga
Another reason why
na sila
the
nga
creation of
and
the RCO is to increase cost participation
150,000 per month
to ensure
nila
representation in
sa
the
YouTube.
South
Pero
and the
hindi
national
daw
alliance.
gina-watch lang nila ang ads.
Dahil grassroots yan, dahil lang
Amo na
galing
ano
sa
ko
baba,
na ads para
yung mga officers ng
mas
SAO,
ano
ng
maka-add
National
ang
Alliance,
YouTube. Amo na.
maintindihan nila kung
Pero
ano
ads lang
ang
nila
mga
watch.
pangangailangan ng mga primary cooperatives.
Pakita ko ba karon kung
At
paano
kayo
sila
pong sa baba, kayo pong nasa regional level, nakakapag-participate kayo sa policy formulation sa Cooperative
Para
Development
maka-
Authority at maririnig
Nang-about
natin
naman sa
lahat
ato niya
ang mga
cooperative lang
hinaing
ang mga
ninyo.
amo na. So may mga
Sa
video
national
kita i-post ko sa
Okay,
YouTube.
so yan yung mga
Tapos
reason
butama na
why
sa ads, ng ads nga na abi, dira
RCO
ka
is
maka-earn.
created. And I hope you will be
Nag-press ka ng
you were able
Shopee
to
nang
understand
daw,
the
daw
wisdom
pasayod.
behind such
Namo na
creation.
ibig bayad na sila.
One of direct and material injury on the part of this objective. Meron bang
Ibang ganit maka-earn sa.
direct or material injury na nagawa ng creation ng RCO
Dagan yung
doon
mga
sa mga
picture, mga
kung may
video
questions
na,
sa creation ng regional cluster
Pero
organization?
maka-earn sila.
Failure to
Watch
prove
ang
how the creation of
ads na
RCO
abi na
violated
watch.
or
Kung
prejudice
daily,
the rights or interests of such
na
less
ano
threatened the
ang
potential
ma-earn
and
sa ads
existence
abi
of cooperative.
daily 500 pesos.
Thus the creation of the
amo
RCO
nag-watch. Kasi naton,
prejudice
ang
our
mga
primary
member, ang
cooperatives.
mga aton nga ano,
Thus
kung
it
daily ka
prejudice the
mag-task
interest
na
of
ano,
these
watch mga
cooperatives.
ads.
Thus it
Per ads
threatens
nila antay bantan na hatag.
our cooperatives.
Di paano mo na ma-claim?
Failure to prove
Sa
such
bangko.
will not stand
Bangko, di ba may bangko ng
against the law
Copa?
that
Pwede na
has
pa-direct na.
delegated the
YouTube
power
to bank, oo.
to formulate
Ay,
and issue the implementing
Iban
rules
gani,
and regulations.
video, iban, dati abi sa YouTube daw maka
Thus, the law,
na-send
thus
sa
the
Western
policy
Dugay daw.
or the implementing
Yara
rules and
is direct sa
regulations
bank mo. Base
unduly oppress our cooperatives. Did our cooperatives
Daily
suffer
ganit
direct
lang
or
lang task na
material
ginagawa
injury? fact,
pinapawatch sa mga groups.
our cooperatives,
Tapos naman na, maka-earn
our
sila.
primary to the regional level has been provided with an avenue where they could
Kaya ang
voice
kilala ko sa group chat
anything
naman, ang
they think
monthly
that the
niya,
cooperative
sa
sector
100,000. Oo.
or the cooperative
Hindi
development
ang task
authority
din
has
mo,
to
tika,
address
hire siya sa clicker,
in
personal
the
pa
regional
mahire kita sa
level.
mga bataon na may mga cellphone. Tapos,
We have given you
anong
the
bawat sang
voice.
mga ads lang.
We have provided you
Tapos
with
in
the
daily, 50 videos lang ang isang koopta.
feeling
Kunwari lang may 50.
sense of
Kung
responsibility
may mawatch na sa
as
one day,
members
kung
of the
full abi,
cooperative sector to share
sa kulong nga na
your
mag-watch
concerns,
siyang
your
ads.
issues, your
Kung
challenges
sa isa ka videos mo may
your
500
needs
ka, o
for the
500
cooperative
times
development authority.
50 nga videos, sabi, okay na po na.
At
Yan daw,
importante
daw may
po sa amin yan.
mabuhat ka sa
Importante po
videos, daw.
Hindi ah.
importante na marinig
Diba,
na
kung
rin mula
nakapost
sa
na ko si
inyong bibig
100 na ka videos,
yung mga itong
Na
mga
100
challenges,
nga
itong mga
videos.
issues, mga concerns.
ipawatch ta na sa ila.
Paniniwala na
Kadali,
ito
amo
po
na
ay
iwas sila,
napakagandang exercise,
Tapos ang YouTube tama ka na
Of
siya sa
public
ads.
consultation when
Amo na maipon,
all the
maipon sa
primary
isa ka daw
cooperatives
sa mag-isa ka bulan. O
are
na makaipon
given the
sa
opportunity
100,000.
to voice out
Mga tila. Nag-hire sila
their
sa mga
concerns.
clicker nanda na maka-watch.
Ito, itong
Okay,
ginahire
in the
mo
past-
sa bayaran ng to,
in
hindi
the
na.
past months,
Bayaran na eh.
and of course,
Basta
we-
man
and,
sa ato na kunwari,
for
ikabi
Region
may
12,
mga phone, may mga
you have
cellphone.
successfully organized your,
Mahimo ko na sang
Regional cluster
listahan
organization.
sa atong ano ko
you
na
have exercised
sang atong
your
YouTube
right
nga videos.
to vote who do
Tapos
you think
ipaklik
will
sa ila,
represent your
sila
cluster.
ma-watch ang
You
videos.
have been given the
Pero ang i-watch
opportunity
na itong ads.
to run.
Bago abi
officers.
mag-play sang video may ads
Regional
na
cluster
na.
organization.
Daw pasayang ulat
And
na.
this is one of the manifestation of
Amo na
the
i-watch na.
principle. Sabi ko
Amo
nga
na
kanina,
maka-earn.
one of the manifestation of the
Dira ka
principle,
maka-earn sa
one of
ads,
the
eh.
principle of cooperative,
Direct naman ka na sa YouTube
cooperative,
mo.
which is the democratic control.
Ang mga iba,
In the-
grabe ka mo ba? Wala dapat abi
The
daily
National
ang
Alliance
task.
Cooperative, the sectoral
Ang daily mo siya
organization.
ipawatch.
I will share to you some of the
Balik-balikon
photos,
tong kwan,
some
Dion.
of the
Amo ta balik-balik
on
ko.
where
Di ba sa, sa first day?
the
First day nga na,
elections,
di ba may
the
50
General
videos
Assembly,
kayo ipawatch sa clicker mo.
regional cluster organization,
Kung ay mas
sectoral-
polo lang or 20 man.
wala pa ho
clicker.
tayo na-organize na
I-watch
National
na to
Alliance
50 nga videos.
because
Oh,
we
50
have
abi,
just
50 nga
concluded the
videos. 50
decision of the
times 10
sectoral
lang ka
organization.
clicker, 50 times
This
10.
coming months, we will be
10
organizing
videos
now
sabi, diba
the
take
National
skin
Alliance
sa
of
polo
Cooperative
katong
through
clicker
the
may
sectoral
500
index.
ka.
Okay?
500
So I will
times
share to you
10,
some
may
of the
5,000 ka na
images
te. Daily.
when we
Sa
conducted
10 na siya
those
clicker.
general assemblies from the
Oh, may
regional
5,000 ka.
offices
Times
up to the
30 mo,
creation of the
5,000
sectoral
times
index.
30.
Yan.
15,000, may 15,000 na per month. Kung magdako pa na siya ang daily mo, dako na ang monthly mo.
Yan po yung mga
Amo
images.
na bilatid dam.
And we have done it nationwide. Wherever each region,
May
ginawa
pang
na natin yan.
mangkot-mangkot ko sa
Lahat
kung
ng
paano
regions
sila
are well
maka-earn kung
represented
ang mga-
sa sectoral EPICS
Tama na,
organization
mga
because they have
dapat.
been given
Ako
equal
sa ato,
Lain man ang
opportunity
bilok,
to
big
be
vlog,
a
daw na.
member of the
mag-vlog-vlog.
sectoral
Oo,
EPICS.
lain man na.
Amo man natin.
Ah.
Nang ginapos na sila.
If you want to have
Di
a
ba
list of all
ga-vlog-vlog?
the
Kasi
RCOs
nag-saton, kung may mga
nationwide,
program
no? Nationwide, not only in your
post
region.
ko sa YouTube ta.
You click the
Ay,
link
kung
for the
mabutangan na sa sang
list
ads,
would be
maka-earn kita
as
dira.
posted in
Amo
in
natin.
my slides. Itong yes. Okay. Dot // bit .ly/2ur1boc. So, picturean nyo na po. Para
Ba ko kay
access
manager,
to all the
manager,
list of
ano pa kaya
officers.
na.
At
Bigyan mo
makikita
kung
nyo
ano.
doon na talagang ang mga na-elect ng mga officers ng RCOs, na-elect ng mga officers ng sectoral apex organization came from the grassroots of the cooperative sector.
Mas
Okay.
maka-earn pa
Let's
kita
go
sa
to
YouTube.
sectoral
Ay,
apex
damo na
organization.
tanang maka-earn ti.
Ang bumubuo ng mga
Iba
sectoral
na
apex
mga
organization,
ano,
ang mga members ng
mga
sectoral
YouTuber.
apex organizations ay mga president ng mga
Ano, gusto ko dati
regional
para
cluster
mga-
organization clusters.
Damo na ko na pang
Sila ang
istorya
bumubuo
pa
ng
nga ako sa mga.
At sa bawat sektor,
Ang bala
ay
ka,
bawat
iyan
cluster
mo
sa
yung
sectoral
YouTube
apex
para
organization,
maka-earn ng kamo.
nag-e-elect din po sila ng
Kilala ko
mga
lang ang
kanya-kanyang officers nila sa bawat cluster. Ang ini-elect po nila sa sectoral apex organization ay mga presidente, president, vice president, one representative para in case na hindi maka-attend yung president or vice president, pwedeng yung alternate ang umattend on behalf of the cluster sa National Alliance of Cooperatives. So, under the sectoral apex organization, we have successfully organized the cluster under the credit, financial service,
Hingi na lang po ng kape.
security fund, and insurance. We already have organized the cluster for consumers, marketing, producers, and logistics. Also for human services, for the health, housing, workers, labor service, education and advocacy and union. And for agriculture cluster, we have the agriculture, agrarian, aquaculture, farmers, dairy, and fisher folks. And for the public utility cluster, we have the
Tapos kung
cooperatives,
first ka na nakaano doon
water
abi
service
kita sa ads.
cooperatives,
Tapos
communication
dili
service
dapat
cooperatives, and
direct kita
transport
para
cooperatives.
magwas lang
So,
sa lahat ng
yan
mga
ang
Dapat
anim na
na lang
cluster
daw,
na
tas
bumubuo
balati
ng
nga.
ating sectoral apex organization.
tas
Ito na po yung mga
dapat
na-elect
daily ka
na
mag ano
officers,
magtas
makikita
mag
po yun, well represented. They came from the regions, came from the primary cooperatives of the regions. For the consumer and marketing cooperative, sila po yung mga na-elect na sectoral apex for the cluster of consumer and marketing producers. For human services cooperative clusters, sila naman po yung mga na-elect na sectoral apex. Sila po yung mga officers. But of course, for every cluster, meron
cooperative, consumer,
representatives from regions. Finance clusters, ito yung mga members ng
Apex.
cluster and of course the officers of the cluster. Sa agriculture cluster, sila din po yung mga officers elected by the members of the sectoral apex organization under the agriculture cluster. And for the education and union cooperative cluster, na hawak ni Assistant Secretary Abdul Salam Dinumla. Ito po yung mga officers ng cluster na nanggaling sa regional organization. And cooperatives, ganun din po, ito po yung mga officers elected from the region. So, ito po yung nagtatapos yung aking presentation and I hope I was able to deliver. I was able to explain to you the importance why, or the wisdom behind the creation of the RCO. It's part of the methodology in the Cultural Apex Organization and the National Alliance, as well as the best way to organize the such organization. And the very important, because all officers of the Sectoral Apex Organization and the National Alliance of Cooperatives will come from the regions, will come from the primaries in their respective regions. Kayo po ang bumubuo sa Sectoral Apex Organization, sa National Alliance of Cooperatives, at sa inyong respective cluster organization. So, sana pag nilay-nilayin na, tingin niyo po ba ay, kayo po ba ay na-prejudice sa creation ng RCO o nabigyan pa kayo ng pagkakataon? O bibigyan kayo ng avenue where you could voice out, where you could voice out any in relation to your in relation to the cooperative concerns, no? Or kayo po ba ay na-injure for the oppressed? Bibigyan pa kayo ng control on who you will choose to represent your in the national level. So sana pag nilay-nilayan natin dahil mamaya po maglalabas po kami ng survey kung saan tatanungin namin kayo kung how do you feel about the creation. I hope kapag nilay-nilayan natin, we will be able to realize how important the creation of this organization. So maraming salamat sa pakikinig and mabuhay po kayong lahat. Back to you, Miss Jean. Napakagandang Jean. Maraming salamat po sa opportunity.
Salamat. Maraming salamat po, Attorney Eric, sa iyong presentation. Nawa po ay naliwanagan tayo sa ating IRR ng Republic Act 11364. Nandiyan lang po si Attorney Eric at si Attorney Mona. Maya, sasagutin ko nila yung mga katanungan na maaari niyo po itanong. Pero dahil po limitado yung ating oras, kung hindi po masagot yung mga katanungan ninyo, pwede nyo naman pong i-email o yung mga katanungan ninyo ay message na po sa ating Facebook page, yung CDA Regional Office 12. Ganun din, pwede din po kayo mag-email sa official email address ng ating opisina, r12@cba.gov.ph. Ayan po. Pupunta na po tayo sa ating consultation or open forum. I-request po natin na kung po pwede, i-raise nyo lang po muna yung inyong kamay dito po sa ating reaction button. Pagkatapos po niyan ay i-recognize natin kayo. Tapos i-unmute nyo po yung inyong microphone. Ayan, may nauna na po from Samakana, MPC. Susundan po ito ng Bulacanan Farmers po. Pero reminder lang po na 2 minutes lang po yung ating per question. Tapos susundan po ng isa pa. Pwede po kayo magbibigay ng follow-up question. Pero within that po, 2 minuto lang. Okay. So ito po, Samakana, MPC. Pwede mo na po i-unmute yung ma'am or sir. You are recognized. Sige po, pwede po kayong magtanong. Sir. Sir, medyo mahina po yung audio ni sir. Yes, sir. Good morning. Opo.
Una, salamat kay Attorney. Maganda yung kanyang presentation. Appreciated masyado. And then, siguro, yun yung mga advancing po natin at
Ginasamakan natin.
tingin ko kasi
Samakan
parang
na.
parang introduce yung RA
Magulat ako ba?
1134.
Samakan na. Basta sa mga ano na, no? Region Sama.
Kanyang Italia.
Mas ko ba ito?
And then,
Makilala?
paano na-create yung goals sa National Alliance Cooperative. Ang tanong ko lang po is, halimbawa kung hindi pa po tayo naging kasapi o membro ng ARCO, paano po tayo makaka-avail o information about itong pinaliwanag kanina lang paano po makaka-avail yung mga non-member o hindi pa naging bahagi ng RCOs, RCOs at COs na mga cooperative within the
Agrarian Reform Beneficiary.
Region 12 na ma-access yung information about dito sa RA 11364.
Sige po. Sir Saudi, ang mga cooperative that are compliant, mga compliant cooperative ay automatic kung magiging member sa kanilang mga respective clusters. So kung kayo po ay compliant, automatic. Ang dahil kabubuo po lang po natin ng mga regional clustered organization, cluster, sila po ang magpapatawag sa inyo ng mga meetings kung saan kayo po ay
Regional cluster, ang mga itong ikaw dito ang
magpaplano
representation
kung ano
sa
ba yung mga
Sultan.
tingin niyo kailangan ninyo pag-usapan bilang
Ba overall?
at I hope yung mga na-elect na officers
Kasi
ng
may mga projects
mga cluster sa Region 12 ay magsisimula ng magplano
mag-plan
na
sa mga project.
i-organize at magkaroon ng mga regular meeting, monthly meetings, para po come up na kayo ng mga programa, come up na kayo ng mga proposed policies na makakatulong sa inyong kooperatiba. So, ang ating mga regional offices ay meron pong directory kung sino po yung mga officers po na yung mga yan, at pwede po ninyong kontakin sila para po makipag-ugnayan kayo sa kanila so that they will be able to also inform you for any scheduled for you to call for the cluster. Walang ngayon sa Region 12. In addition,
Yes po, Seksa.
Kabuwal.
I know kay Samakala APC kung anong co-options is a culture or credit or what called that.
Kabuwal.
Yes, what services?
Kamakana.
Agricultural co-op, sir. Yes, thank you. Don't worry, you are already automatic member of the agriculture cluster. You are now represented by the agriculture cluster under kay Adrian Asset Boy. Anyway, kung gusto mo malaman kung sino yung mga officers ninyo, parangin lang yung region ko, nandun yung mga listahan. Tama yung sinabi ni Atty. Eric, if you have problems encountered, nyo, pwede nyo i-down yan sa cluster ng agriculture. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Salamat po sa Manaka MPC. May nag-raising po ng kamay dito from GATC. Si Mr. Ronnie R. Labato. Sir, pwede nyo na po.
Ara kaliyo sa makana, talaga na siya man.
Mayang buntag sa kanano, lalo na sa kay Atty. Eric Robles o sa mo mangkin sa pag-optimize sa pagkakit. Salamat sa mga kauban na itong kooperatiba. So, pati na po nindot tayo ang hihingo nga Byaheng Cooperatiba tungod kay dili natin makita nga natay may baluan na nalit, natay may bawaan ba sa sinaagi sa uban o sa nagkalindain na kooperatiba. At hindi mo yung punista ko, nasabay-sabay ang lahat ng kooperatiba. So, nindot po sa minawon. Pero ako po lang po naanapin ko sa so, ang ato pangutana attorney Robles, kung sakaling tanan ng mga kooperatiba nga kung dilit na tabangan kung asa ka ng cluster, asa ba tama magpatabang.
Attorney po. At si Ernie Eric po, hindi masyadong makaintindi na. Andito po ating translator ang ating po senior, andyan po si Sir Ayan, i-translate po niya.
Bahaw.
Ay,
Gamay lang ako makasagot.
gamay lang.
Sana siya sa
Attorney Mona.
public.
Kaya si Attorney Mona po.
Bisayang language yan.
Attorney Mona.
Attorney Mona. Translate mo na lang.
Okay.
Sige lang.
Okay. If I got it right, ang tanong po ni Sir ay kung hindi daw po ba siya na-belong or ang nila na-belong sa
Plasting.
cluster na parang
Wala sa ila.
wala sa kanila yung, hindi sila na-belong sa kahit anong cluster, saan daw po sila pupunta. If I got it right po.
Ganun yung pagkakaintindi ko, although hindi ko directly na Bisaya. So, lahat po ng ating mga cooperatives ay may belong. They may belong. No?
Gani,
Hindi nyo lang po siguro ma-identify which of the cluster.
Kung
pwede ko
agree ka sa
malaman,
agricultural,
Sir,
kawin kung farmers ka, agricultural.
type of
Yan bali na
cooperative.
sa number 6 to si Kablikit.
Pero,
Kasi nga ma.
Hindi dito sa iyo, transport niya.
Hindi ko alam na hindi ka pala nakantindi ng kaya. Sorry po. Okay. Ang sabi ko kanina, ako po ay bilong sa cluster with sa service. Transport po kasi kami.
Okay, transfer.
Transport and public
So,
utilities.
bilong po kami sa cluster with. Kasi may na-elite na po tayo na mga officially, mga leaders yan. Ang tanong ko lang, kung sakali po may mga ibang kooperatiba na transport din na bilong sa cluster, kung hindi sila ma-assist sa cluster na ito, saan ba sila magpunta? Kung sakaling hindi binigyan ng, kung sakaling may meeting, hindi nabigyan ng yun. Ganon.
Okay, just a reminder to the officers of each cluster, it is your duty to inform all the members of your cluster. If you don't know
Melinda
who
ng
the
Tagabuwala.
members of your cluster, you could go to our regional office.
Tama
The
to
list
sa
of
pinatay
all
mo.
the cooperatives, like for example,
Hindi
the
talaga
case of
bignet
Sir
ka
Ronnie,
taktika
Yes. you go to our regional office and ask a list of all the cooperative, registered cooperative and the contact person and contact numbers so that you would invite them, you could invite all the officers of these cooperatives within your cluster. Pag ikaw naman po ay member at hindi ka na-invite ng officers ng cluster, you could go to our regional office, the Cooperative Development Authority, and we will call the attention of the officers of that cluster that this particular cooperative must be invited and become part of that cluster. So you could go anytime in our regional office and we will try to call the attention of the organization cluster officers so that they will invite you. Kasi baka nga hindi nila alam kung na-existing pala kayo. So as I remind our regional cluster officers,
Ang pinakadamot ay
punta po kayo sa
agriculture.
aming mga regional office at kunin niyo po yung mga listahan
Pero tong
ng mga primary co membro ng inyong cluster.
Ganito na lang,
pero
sir.
ang iba na bid dito sa iba na transfer sa iba ko din sila.
Pwede ba mahingi ang number
Diba agriculture ka,
sila
pero may
question
finance ka
para
dito
may
sila
bigay
iba na
sa
pwede ka
inyo,
dito.
text sa inyo, para may bigay ninyo
Para daw
yung
gambay lang sa agriculture.
cluster niya.
Lagin daw
Dami
din
na
na.
dami
Kasi kung magpunta ko sa regional official, mas malaki siya. Anong lugar ba siya?
Saan po ba itong lugar niyo, Sir Ronnie?
Ay, hindi ba? Binalitan ko sa ito. Okay na ako. Igalit namin
Sa
na
din
sa
daw.
okay naman po.
Jinsan.
Simula na yung dami ng yung pinsan ko lang, yung ibang ko kasi may ibang ko talaga, hindi talaga network. Hindi ko lang sasabihin. Sa akin, wala problema.
Okay, sir. Maraming salamat po from Sir Ronnie of Gatsy. Nag-raising po ng hand
Agat si
ang
Jensen.
Lado Transport.
Transport.
Pwede na po ninyo
Mga
unmute po. To be followed by GLPC po. Nauna po kasi
bus
ang
terminal
Lado
ay mga ano
Transport. To be
talaga.
followed by
Mga
GLPC and Unified
Di
Engineering
paano tong
Workers.
sa aton tinga sa Sultan Kudrati ay sa Bagong Bayan na transportation di ba napatay mo
Good morning, ma'am.
May araman tayo
Good
man.
Yes, sir. At naririnig po kayo.
Okay, good morning sa lahat.
Tingnan ko itong mag-meeting, wala na siya. Ginawag pangalan niya, daw may representative daw siya magkakaroon.
Of course, Attorney
Hindi
Eric,
masakit.
well said, well explained. Unang-una po, kami sa
Sabi na siya.
public transport long time ago. Okay? Hindi po kami, hindi namin na-feel, hindi namin batid na kami po ay isang part kami ng kooperatiba. Ngayon lang po nangyari ito na merong clustering wherein nabilong kami sa cluster 6. Well, in fact, dito sa General Santos City, yung CCDC namin, gumawa din ng, i-replicate din yung clustering namin dito sa CDC. So, kami sa cluster 6, we always have our meeting every month. No? Kung tatanungin niyo po ang CCDC ng Delsan, ang cluster 6 po ay umusbong. Kami po ang pinakamaraming meeting as of today. So, siguro, nakita namin, ito po ay advantage doon sa mga co-op na noon pa man ay hindi nabigyan ng pansin ng CBA dahil minsan maririnig karamihan na naririnig natin sa mga gathering ng mga transport, ng mga kooperatiba ay mapapansin natin yung ganyan, yung human resources. Kasi sila yung pinakamalaking kooperatiba at sila yung pinakamayaman. But unlike ngayon na meron yung pag-implement ng
Finance, di damo tanong kwarta dating mo no, finance ng mga finance nga ano,
lahat ng klase
cluster, finance,
ito ay we are
finance
so
cluster.
happy na ito na po
Kaya
yun
may credit
yung
ang
meeting namin. Kasi before sa mga meeting nagsantabi lang po dahil bumibida yung mga malalaking kooperatiba. So with that, we salute the leadership of the CDA. And yung kanina, yung tanong ni Ronnie, kasamahan po namin sa cluster 6 dyan. So, hindi ko maintindihan kasi sa cluster 6, every meeting po, tinatawagan namin. So, unless ayaw mong sumali sa meeting, so siguro hindi na kasalanan ng opisyalis ng RCO na hindi kayo may sama sa meeting dahil you intend not to join. But with all due respect sa mga meetings namin sa CCDC Cluster 6, sa RCO, nakadalawang meeting kami, officers meeting, hindi pa kami nakapag-meeting yung buong RCO. No? Pero sa CCDC, kasama namin si Rory sa Regentan, kasama po siya sa meeting. So, siguro ibang aspeto yung tinitingin niya na kung mayroong problema, yung transport ko, saan siya pupunta. So far, maraming salamat CPA, nabigyan kami ng pansin. Ngayon, under sa 1164. Kudos po lahat. Good morning.
Maraming salamat po, sir, sa iyong
Hindi sila cooperative mo, di ba?
Transport co-op mas guro sila. Ano to?
Ang reminder
lang,
po
the
sa
association.
ating mga
Pwede naman.
magtatanong,
Ang
limited lang po
nagiging
sa
sali sila sa mga
questions.
para
To only
Amo na
2
to gani
minutes
siguro nga
and
na-open
follow-up
up nila kay
question.
wala sila ginakuan kay basta association
Ayan, bibigyan pa natin ng daan ang BGLC. Nandun po po ba si sir?
mga
nawala
ano
po
sila kung
yata
may
ang
nari sila sa
sir.
buday sila mga
Yes, attorney.
Sir Robert, tanong lang naman ni Juan kanina, clarify ko lang, ang tanong ni Ronnie, para doon sa mga hindi aware. Si Ronnie kasi aware, merong class rin. But may mga, baka daw merong mga transport cooperative na hindi alam na meron pa ng So, sino daw ang
siguro
nahanap
dati association sa dahil tapos
he is not speaking for
naging ano
himself,
sa masa si
but baka daw
di ba
meron mga
ay ano association na pero ipa-transfer
hindi
na
alam
sa
kung saan
cooperative
lalapit. So, advice naman
para
namin is go to our regional office para malaman kung sino yung mga tatawagin ng mga officers ng regional class. Yun lang naman po para may ma-clarify lang.
Yan, thank you. Ang HDLP.
Yung malingko.
Si Sir Abdul Nasser Malinko po.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
Muslim.
Good morning po. Morning. Nag-ano po kami, sir. Ang tanong ko po is addressed to Aztec Ginomla. Siguro, sir, kasi may problema po kami sa 63 barangay. Opted to join the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Kasi kami po ay nahihirapan kasi hindi namin alam kung saan region na kami ngayon. Nagbilong, no? Sa Region 12, pasalamat kami sa CD12 kasi inaasikaso pa kami. Pero sa farm, hindi namin alam kung may existing
ba ang CDA sa farm? Ba? Sukra, Abdullah Sir. Actually, we have already agreed with the PAWAD, ngayon 63 barangay, ito-turn over na yan yung responsibility sa farm CDA.
Bansang muro, no?
Ayaw ko ngayon ng status na ano bang status ngayon dyan? Na transfer na ba? Na turnover na ba? In fact, ay tinawagan ko yung in-charge ng CDA farm na makipag-coordinate sa CDA Pinapawa upang sa ganun ay matransfer na agad lahat ng responsibility. Pero, pasalamatan ko sa Pinapawan kasi kung rin tayo na hindi pa na-transfer, ay ini-entertain pa rin kayo. So, yan ang status ngayon. Alamin ko muna sa CDA Pinapawan kung simula na nila yung transfer of responsibility sa CDA farm.
Sabag na ng bansang muro ang mga nagapang-bantay da ka mga
Thank you, sir. Sobrang mura.
Maboy Granada.
Sige, maraming salamat. Thank you, Asek Sam and
Sunog
Sir
kayo bas.
Sir. Pwede po siguro masagot ni
Buligan sa gobyerno ko.
Director Elma.
O to bisa kidapawan kaya ang dalan balat na sa mga muslima na
Ayan,
klain.
kung ano na po yung
Amo na
status
mo
natin.
siguro ano gobyerno da.
Yes, today, ongoing pa yung preparation ng
Simula ng gobyerno maganda.
transfer of yung responsibility.
Yan po. Sir Abdullah, sir, we hope na ano po, narinig niyo po yung kasagutan. Process pa po. So hopefully, we will be informed po pagka ma-turn over na po talaga yung 63 barangays. And now we will call in Unified Engineering Workers MPC kay Mamilda Almension sa iyong katanungan po. Go ahead, Mamilda.
Yes, Ma'am Jean, good morning and good morning po sa lahat sa ating mga cooperative officers, CDA officials. Kanina po kasi na-mention doon sa mga programs ng CDA, yung strengthening of cooperative as to socio-economic enterprises. Alam naman po natin kasi sa farmers cooperative, isa pong mga problema talaga natin is yung marketing na natin. Alam naman po natin na yung ating DA talagang tumutulong sa mga kooperatiba when it comes to technical and other support. Pero yung pinaka-problema po natin is when it comes to the marketing. Kasi
Low price.
most of the time talaga yung timing is not good. Yung kumbaga,
Ano nagka-pricing
during the harvest, doon po talaga tayo
Sa lower kon lang.
or during the marketing of our product, doon po talaga tayo
Kung damo, sa bayin man.
So, paano po ba kaya yung, kasi nakita ko na mayroong ganong program sa CDA. In fact, I really would like to congratulate yung mga bago nating mga CDA officials ngayon. Kasi naramdam na po ng mga kooperatiba ang presence talaga ng CDA of all the programs na nandiyan ngayon. And in fact, sayang nga lang because nasa pandemic tayo kasi siguro kung wala, mas maganda yun kasi hindi na virtual yung mga forums na ginagawa. But at this time po, isa po, especially of this pandemic, problema po talaga namin when it comes to marketing ng ating produce. Nasa dairy industry din po kami. So, at first, bakit kami pumasok sa dairy? Because, sabi nga, talagang only 10% ng dairy products natin comes from our country, the rest outside na. So, parang i-grab natin its opportunity. All the while, during the marketing pala, nakita natin na ilan lang yung nag-consume ng mga dairy products na nagkaroon tayo ng problema now on the marketing. Paano po ba papasok ang ating CDA in helping not only on the dairy product but as well as doon sa mga farm produce ng ating mga farmers cooperatives?
Thank you, Manila. Attorney Eric.
Okay.
Attorney Eric.
Maganda yun, no? Kasi may mga programs ngayon ang ating ahensya in collaboration with other government agencies, especially sa agriculture. At ang ating Assistant Secretary Virgilio Lasaga is very active. He is going around all government agencies and trying to come up with a collaboration, partnership with other government agencies to help our agriculture cooperative. In the side of marketing, yan po talaga ang challenge. Not only marketing, logistics. You may have the best marketing, you may have the best products, but if you have a problem with logistics, how can you transport your goods from Mindanao to Luzon?
Gamay na lang niya dahil.
So we have meron kami ginagawa ngayon na isang marketing plan, and hindi ko pa may divulge yung saktong details because still ongoing and there are a lot of adjustment involves marketing, no? And this will help our local cooperatives in selling their products not only locally but internationally. So let's wait for that program. It will be announced soon, and once we will be able to announce it, sigurado ma-excite kayo because this will really help our cooperatives in the regional levels. Kasi kung sino yung medyo malaki-laki, sila yung may mga na
Amo na na-sprayer yung hatag nila katong
products
bibinhi
and services all over the country. Kasi nakikita namin talaga
sa Maduguro.
kasi gaya ng sabi ko, you may have the best product, you may have the best marketing
Kalabasa, una-unang kalabasa, kagwan.
However,
O
the
yung
problem
nang
is the
namin
logistics.
itong itabon. Ay, ano to nang
Try
kudalan?
to
Oo,
marry
may damo pa
marketing and
to.
logistics into one program.
Ilabi itong sapat.
We really help our cooperatives, and we are
Kasi
about
ganyan, kita mo
siguro
sa dalan
mga
eh.
50% planning and
Isa nga din sa
execution of
una
that
problema nga na si Dubi sa iya sapat ba.
Just wait for the implementation later on. Thank you.
Thank you po, Ma'am Mil.
Kung sawayan mo
Salamat
Yes,
po.
thank you so much, Attorney. Very excited on that actually. Hopefully po this year, meron na tayo niyan.
Yes, yes. Hopefully. We're doing ang target namin is before itong co-op month, baka ma-launch yung initial launch lang siguro, mga soft launch. But magiging full blast na ito by first quarter of next year.
Yes. Thank you so much, Attorney, because we're not just answering the marketing problem, but as well as the sustainability po of our cooperative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma'am Milda. At we have come to the last two questions ng ating participants because after this, we will be having a poll. Ipopost po natin yung ating poll questions and then you will be answering po. Sige, we will consider the question coming from Community Halal Producers Cooperative to be followed by Sir Wendell Amoronio. Sir, unahin po natin si Sir Toto Lagyalaco ng Community Halal Producers Co. Sir Toto, go ahead. Pwede na po kayo magtanong. Yes po.
Hindi na to siya. Wala pa. Wala siguro signal to sa ila.
Nag-wish siya sa Pwede ba mag-post ang CDE per cluster contact number? Oo, no, kailangan din matino. Yung cluster. May president naman. Ano naman, may officers per cluster naman. O, nabi kong din ko magsalig dito ko lang, Gid.
Hindi po kami makahingi ng kopya ng mga slides ng speaker. So, copy to
Salamat, Sir
email.
Doc. Attorney Eric.
Yes, these officers elected, sila na po yung magiging officers ng RCOs and SAOs to be organized national alliance. But they have a term of at least
Pamulan na, karang ang mga pamulan.
So every 2 years of change, magkakaroon ng election, magkakaroon ng general assembly, magkakaroon ng election. At the same process, mag-elect ng mga officers sa sectoral apex and national alliance. Ang maganda dito kasi, ang pagbuo natin ng regional clustered organization, ang sectoral apex organization, and national alliance is initially, ang nag-supervise dyan ang CDA. But eventually, kayo-kayo na lang doon sa sektor ang mag-uusap on how you're going to implement, how you're going to plan, how you're going to discuss, how you will strategize your activities, your moves, your plans. Kayo-kayo na po mag-uusap sa sektor. For this initial stage lang po, kami lang po ang nag-supervise sa pag-organize. But the succeeding years, succeeding activities ninyo, kayo-kayo na po sa sektor ang mag-uusap po sa tungkol dyan.
Okay na. Sige, isa na lang po, sir po.
Wala man siya naman. Hindi siya